Hello and welcome to Joline Knits A Lot. This is my show about knitting and crafting and the things I get up to here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. How are you? I realize I put a very dark lip on today. I'm feeling quite formal. I have a new finished object to share with you. But how have you been? It's now the beginning of August, and for some people, depending on where you live, your kids are going back to school already. That's a little unusual for us. My kids won't be going back to school until after the Labor Day weekend in September. And so we still have some lazy days of summer to look forward to. My family and I are going to be getting away for a few days to the mountains, which is something I look forward to. We're very lucky to live near the Rocky Mountains, which are a beautiful place to visit if you've never been. Jasper and Banff, which are two national parks here in Alberta, were my playgrounds when I was a kid. We would go there all the time, as that was our summer holiday. We would go to the mountains and we would hike and swim in the hot springs, and so I'm looking forward to seeing the mountains again and spending some time in the nice mountain air. What are you doing for the summer? Do you spend time at home? Do you like to stay home and be relaxed in your own place, or do you like to travel? My family and I do have some travel plans that we're trying to work out. We have ideas, but no plans. I guess that's a better way of saying it. But I do love to dream about travel, and just in the last month or so, I've really started to open my imagination to the places that we could visit. So I'm hoping in the next couple years, we can, we have some big trips planned, but we'll see. I will let you know. Why don't I tell you a little bit about some of the things that I have finished, like this top that I'm wearing. This is the first time I'm trying it on, and I'm delighted with it. This is the If Tealight. It is a pattern by Knit and Crochet. I will put her name here because I never remember it. And it is a delightful little pattern. I knit it using the actual yarn that it's called for. This is Magpie Fibers. I used Swanky Sock held together with their plume base. Plume is a cashmere and silk blend, and it is delightful. I'm gonna pop a couple pictures here of me modeling this t-shirt only moments ago. I just took these pictures. And it is just a delight. I wasn't quite sure how I would wear it. I had to look at how other people have modeled theirs. I'm just hanging around in mine right now, but because of the way that it's quite sheer on top, I've opted to wear a strapless bra with it right now, but I think I could get away with a nude bra. I will be trying various undergarments with it to see what I like best. But it is a very soft and drapey next to skin fabric for sure. I really am happy with the way that the neckline kind of drapes around my neck. This sweater features some 3 needle bind off seams at the shoulders. There is an option to do a bind off and then seam, but I went with a 3 needle bind off, and I think it's quite nice. It will be interesting to see how this yarn holds up if it starts to stretch out of shape. It doesn't seem to be right now. It seems to be holding itself up quite nicely, and I'm enjoying it. I did make maybe 2 modifications for this pattern. I knit the body a little bit longer than is called for because that's my usual. And also I at the top there's these sort of cups, I guess. The intarsia fabric here would in the pattern go up to a point here, but I kind of stopped a couple rows early so that it's slightly rounded, because I just didn't want arrows going up to my shoulders, I guess. So I just rounded it off a little bit, and I think it's quite nice. I think this is a very wearable piece. I think I could wear it quite a bit actually, and I really like how it looks. The back has got a sheer panel at the top, which again with the strapless bra I think is quite nice. And yeah, you can see that my tension isn't quite great. I seem to have some I don't know, inconsistencies in the lace fabric. I found it a little bit, not tricky to knit with, but when you're knitting with a fine yarn at an open gauge, it's not going to be quite as even, at least for me, as it would be if I was knitting it at like a proper tighter gauge, not a proper, but a tighter gauge, I guess. Anyway, this is my As If Tealight. I knitted in some Magpie Fibers yarn. This is the Midnight Train to Georgia color, which is a really deep and I think quite lovely navy color, which I'm going to try pairing with jeans and probably some black skirt, trouser, something. Yeah. Now, this was like my highlight, my interesting thing, because as you know, it's the summer of socks here at Joline Knits A Lot, and I have been consistently knitting socks since we last spoke. Let me show you some of the things I knit. Now, I think right after I finished recording the last podcast, or shortly before, Summer Lee of Summer Lee Designs announced a variegated shorty sock knit-along. And I am apparently helpless in the face of knit-alongs. So is Blue. I had a skein of some variegated yarn that I got as a part of a package from the Gathering Threads Festival that I attended in the spring. The Gathering Threads Festival had a VIP package that allowed you entrance to a number of different events, as well as a gift bag, which was lovely. There was a really nice tote, and then included in the tote were some yarns. There was definitely a crochet hook. There was some gift cards to various places and some other assorted gifts, which was lovely. Anyway, there was a show colorway called Tansei, which is hello or welcome in, I think, the Cree language. And I knit them into a pair of shorty socks. I think they're really fun. I used Summer Lee's, one of her shorty designs. She has, if you don't know Summer Lee, go check her out right now and then come back and finish this video because she's worth it. She has a number of fabulous sock sets where you purchase a set of maybe 3 or 4 designs all bundled together. There's a Summer Shorties, at least one Summer Shorties bundle, and this is from that. So this is the Summer Shorties B. It's a very plain sock. And you could certainly knit a shorty without a pattern. But I do like her patterns a lot, especially her colorwork patterns. Go check those out because they're beautiful. And I understand has a book in the making, and I think I'll be investing in that book. I'm a really big fan of her work. I think she's, by all accounts, very cool. And also, I like to support designers that I like, and I like her. So these are just a pair of shorty socks. The idea was to knit at least one shorty sock from July, I'm not sure, the 18th maybe, something like that, to August 4th. So I did, because like I said, I am helpless in the face of a knit along. These were great actually because they're quite a mindless knit. It's a very plain pair of socks, and I had some soccer to watch and sometimes some very stressful soccer to watch, so it was nice to have something plain on the needles that I didn't have to think about. And that was these socks. I'm not sure who gets them. They may just go in this my sock box for when someone needs a gift or a special pair of socks. And those are off the needles. The other thing I have off the needles, you're gonna hear that a couple times, is my Stephen West mystery sock. These are called the Contrast Blast socks, and okay, I'm just gonna suggest if you have any eye sensitivity, you might want to put on some sunglasses because these are some really bright socks. Ba-bam! Yeah, they're quite bright. I had a ball knitting these socks. Are they weird? Kind of. They're definitely unusual, and they're definitely a very Stephen West feel. He used mosaic knitting, which uses slip stitches to create some color work. So when you're working mosaic knitting, you're only ever using one color at a time, which is a really nice sort of intro into color work, I think. Every week was a slightly different pattern or something slightly different going on. So the first week went up to here. It was this cuff and a slip stitch portion. The second week was this more like textural. You can see that it is reverse stockinette in the contrast color. So it is quite a bit more of a textural fabric. So the second week was this, plus the heel, which I actually quite like this heel. It's cute. The contrast color is, I guess it's like garter stitch because there's a purl and a knit. But I think it's really cute. Blue's undecided. And then the third week was the gusset decreases, which was here. There's a bit of a cable and also a return to that sort of original slip stitch pattern. And then week 4 was a slightly different slip stitch pattern, also with the reverse stockinette, buddy. Also with the reverse stockinette, but with more like traveling stitches. And then, as predicted, an interesting toe. This toe has got a broken rib, which means that on one round you knit everything, and on the next round you knit one purl one. That's a broken rib, 1 by 1, and that is what I have going on this toe. It was a really fun pattern to knit. These are quite a tall sock, like the leg of it is quite a bit taller than I would normally knit. But I think that these will be fun winter socks. They feel quite cozy. I think because if we just have a look at the wrong side, I don't know, in some places it just feels like a more dense sock. I think because of all of that textural stuff going on. I think they'll be very warm. And so I'm hoping that I'll be reaching for these in the darker, cooler winter months to brighten up my feet. Let me show you a couple pictures of my finished objects. I'm really happy with them. They were a lot of fun. I used 60 grams of the main color, so quite a bit, I guess, for me. And then the contrast color, I think I only used something like 30 grams, which is quite a bit less than I would have thought. I guess the tall rib at the top, plus most of the heel and the toe are all done in the main color. So it could be that that was what used up more of that yarn. But those are my contrast blast socks, which were a mystery sock along by Stephen West. And dare I say, I think I would be interested in doing another sock along. They were a lot of fun. I think it was a very manageable knit compared to his shawl knit-alongs, which are fun, but a lot more intense, usually because there are, you know, upwards of, there are usually 3, 4, even 5 colors, so there's a lot more to juggle. And also you're knitting a shawl, and Stephen West shawls can be quite large, so it's just a lot more knitting. Whereas these were just a really, really nice amount of knitting. Even if, so in fairness, I knit the smallest size because that was the size that was going to fit my feet. So it was a 60 stitch cast on. So it was a lot smaller than some of the larger size options. And my foot isn't very long, so I didn't have to knit as long. But still, even if you had a larger foot, I think this was still a manageable amount of knitting for each week of the mystery. I have one last pair of socks off the needles, and that's another pair of Fairground socks. This is a pattern again by K.F. Jones of the Bakery Bears, and I've knit it in the same yarns because I'm predictable. This is the Dunder Knit Rainbow, the main color. It is a color dyed by Tiny Human Knits, and it's a 12 stripe repeat. For these socks, I started the second sock halfway through the pattern repeat, and that gave me fraternal twins, which I think are fun. I used Polka Dot Creek sock yarn in their peach colorway. Again, this is the skein that keeps on giving. but I think it's a lovely match to this stripe. And I really like this pattern. I can see myself knitting some more of them. I like the lace pattern. I think it just flows really nicely and it's a nice rhythm. So the knitting seems to be going quickly. There's an interesting heel that Kay calls her butterfly heel, and I like it a lot. It's not an afterthought heel, it's not a short row heel. It's made with decreases and then picking up stitches. And the thing I like about it is the way it fits, but also you don't get little gaps that you can sometimes see with a short row heel. I think it fits really nicely for my foot, and also I like the way that it doesn't interrupt the stripe pattern. So this is where the heel is, and you can see the stripes continue uninterrupted. And I really like that. So I think it's fun to try new techniques, particularly things like heels or toes, just to see if there's something out there that you like better. It is easy to get stuck in a rut in terms of knitting the same toes. This toe is what she calls an umbrella toe. It's very much like a rounded toe that you might find in other patterns, but this is Kay's version of it. And it is nice to just try new things. I think that I will be trying this heel in the future in other pairs of socks because I think I really enjoy knitting it and I really enjoy the finished product. I think it fits nicely and yeah, I really like it. And the toe I may try again or I may not. I'll have to try wearing my pairs of socks of the same sock and see how I like it. But it is nice to try something different and a new technique because it makes your brain work a little bit harder than just knitting the same old, same old. So there are some more Fairground socks off the needles. Lots of fun. And that was a lot of socks. I have one more thing that I have created in the last week. And that is something that was requested of me a while ago, actually, by my younger daughter. She had seen the little face rounds that I had made for myself, and she asked me if I would make her some. She tends to use hers as makeup removers, and so I chose a darker color for hers because mascara. And I don't know about you, if you have teenage girls in your life, mine are very passionate about their mascara. And I didn't want to get mascara all over some nice white face rounds. So I made her a stack of her own. This is the Estelle Eco Cotton DK. It's just a cotton DK yarn that I picked up at my local yarn store, and you could pick up whatever. This one comes in a range of different colors, and I'm pretty sure it's the same yarn I used the last time for mine. And I made her a stack of these little face rounds. They're crocheted. I will try and link to them below. And as I went, I feel like I got better at making circles that sit flat. Yeah, it was a fun little project to work on my crochet skills. And now I have a stack of these to give to her. One ball of the Estelle DK made 14 face rounds for me. I used a 4.5 millimeter hook, and there you have it. What I'm going to do is give her these and a little like mesh laundry bag so that every time she uses one, she just chucks it in the laundry bag. And then when she's all out, we'll just throw the laundry bag with all of the used face rounds into the wash. And I think that will work. I have been doing that with mine. I only have 8. And I find it works really nicely. Once I have 1 or 2 left, if I'm doing a load of laundry, I will just take the little laundry bag, zip it up and throw it in the wash. And that way they don't get lost, but they do get clean. So those are for my younger daughter. And speaking of daughters, my older daughter has discovered crochet. And not only has she discovered crochet, but she's discovered crochet amigurumi. You may remember a little blanket that she made for our dog, made out of some granny squares. So that was sort of a foray into crochet. But now she's making chickens. Lots and lots of chickens. I think she probably has 10. She's also made a couple little dinosaurs, but those are still living in her room. This was her first finished chicken and she gave it to me, which was really sweet. and I really like it. I think it's funny. Yeah, she had gone to Michael's with my husband. He was picking up some resin. He's building a planter with his 3D printer. And he needed some resin or something, and she was interested in making some amigurumi. So they went together, and she picked up some, I think, Red Heart acrylic, very large skeins of yarn. I think they're 200 grams. So it's a lot of yarn, and a lot of chickens. So that is my daughter's crochet habit. It's maybe getting out of hand, but actually she's really enjoying herself, and she has gotten quite good at reading the patterns. We've been choosing very simple amigurumi patterns, but she's been really enjoying it. So now that she's mastered the chicken, I'm sure she'll be trying to move on to more complex stuffies. We'll see, and I will keep you informed of her progress. I have a couple things that I've been working on lately. One of them is just a plain sock. It is the summer of socks after all. And actually, I had gone to see the Barbie movie with my daughters, and I needed some just plain in the dark movie knitting. So I grabbed a little sock set that I had picked up, I want to say last fall, maybe? This is a little sock set by Rose Hill Yarns. Rose Hill Yarns are a somewhat local to me dyer. They do beautiful variegated sock yarns. That is, in my mind, what they're known for. And they often sell little sock sets with a 50-gram skein of variegated, and then matching tonal in a 20-gram skein. So this is called, this set is called Seashells by the Seashore. And I think it's lots of fun. I've been really enjoying knitting just a plain sock too, but I'll put in an afterthought heel later. Partly because I just wanted plain knitting for in the movie theater so I wouldn't have to look. But I have to say I'm really enjoying every time this really bold orange stripe comes up. I just think it's so much fun. And so well placed. Like I'm not getting pooling of that orange or really of any of the other colors. So really talented dyer. I have used sock kits from her in the past, and they're really rich, beautiful colors. Even this one, which is quite soft, it's got really beautiful speckling. I love the little hits of blue, and then the sand, and this bold orange color, and then this really pale watercolor, which I think is really pretty. So this is Rose Hill Yarns. They are, again, a local to me dyer. Let me show you her logo. And Rose Hill Yarns is often at a lot of local and somewhat less local yarny events. So she will be at I'm pretty sure she will be at the Prairie Fiber Festival, which is happening in September. And actually I'm volunteering there, so I may see you. But if you don't see her at the Prairie Fiber Festival, maybe you will see her at the Knit City in Vancouver, which I will also be at. Not volunteering, completely shopping. So if you're interested in some really rich tonal variegated sock yarns and sock yarn sets, I would check her out. She does do a DK yarn as well. And actually I should look into if she does DK sock sets, because I'm sort of thinking about maybe making some DK socks. So that's just a plain movie waiting in the car for my kid knitting, as my younger daughter is doing a volleyball camp this year, so there's a little bit of waiting around that's happening. And the final thing I have on my needles this week is the Tessellated Vest. I had thought about this knit for a long time before I even knew what it was. Every summer I tend to get sort of I get wrapped up, tugged along into the excitement of the Rhinebeck sweater. I'm not going to Rhinebeck this year. I would love to go to Rhinebeck one year, but this year is not the year, and that's okay. I can still knit along with everyone else. And I knew that there would be a really fun and interesting pattern coming out this summer for the Rhinebeck knit along. And so I've been planning sort of my yarny budgeting, I guess, for that. So I knew that there was going to be this project, and I knew that I might be interested. So I sort of was working through my stash and also saving my pennies in anticipation of this project. Do you do that? Do you try and like adjust your yarn purchases to fit in certain knit-alongs or events that you know are coming? I am sort of in that place right now with the Stephen West shawl along. It's in the back of my mind. I'm kind of waiting. I'd like to see, with the mystery shawl, you never really know what you're getting. But I am sort of interested to hear what it's called, how many colors, that sort of thing. Because I do have some thoughts about whether or not I'd like to. I think I'd like to dive in. It's lots of fun, isn't it? But I guess the flip side is that Stephen West shawls aren't always the easiest to wear. So I'm giving it some serious thought. But I also have a gift card that I have been saving so that if in the event that I want to take part, I have a gift card that I can use for the Stephen West knit along. So anyway, back to my current knit. So I knew that I was going to be interested in the Andrea. Oh, sorry, I have fluff on my face. I knew I'd be interested in the Andrea Mowry knit along, as I usually am. It usually involves some spin cycle, which is always fun to work with. Beautiful yarn, but an investment. So again, saving my pennies. And then when I saw that this year she was offering a vest option, I was actually quite interested because I don't have very many vests, but I think that it's a really smart thing to knit for fall. We could all, depending on where you live, I suppose, but I know I could use layering pieces. I have lots of pullovers. I'll be honest with you. I knit. You see them. I knit a lot. And so I thought a vest would be a nice option. And then some of her test knitters were wearing them as sort of transitional pieces, like a tank top without necessarily a t-shirt or something underneath, or maybe a t-shirt or a button down. And it sort of inspired me to try something new with my wardrobe. So I jumped in and I picked up a kit, not really a kit, I put together my own kit to make the Tessellated Vest. But because I'm not super original with colors this year, I chose the colors that she used for her pullover. So I pulled inspiration from the pullover and I used those yarns in the appropriate quantities to make this vest. So here it is. I just did a cast on, sorry to tease you. I did a cast on Monday with a friend of mine who has moved to Vancouver, and I will be visiting in the fall. We were both making this pattern. We hemmed and hawed about colors together. We ordered the colors together and we had a Zoom cast on Monday. And this is where I am at with my knitting. It's interesting to see this on camera because it does look different than in person. You sort of get a better overall view of what the colors are doing. So let me show you. I am using, my main color is York. This is called the Spinster's Daughter. Let's see if I can get a decent color of it going. I'm sorry about my dog. He's either outside barking or he's inside barking, but he's barking, so we'll leave him outside so that he can bark at all the birds and then bring him in for the farewell. This is the Spinster's Daughter. The Spinster's Daughter is the dyed-in-the-wool base, which is created by Spin Cycle, but it's dyed by other dyers. In this case, it is dyed by the Farmer's Daughter, who I am a big fan of, and this is called York, which is like a deep, almost emeraldy green color. That's my main color. My contrast colors are Spin Cycle. This is called Every Rose. This is not a very me colorway, but I did think it was really pretty and fun. This is called Every Rose. And then you use a fluffy yarn. In this case, I'm using Odang, which is the Farmer's Daughter again. It is a alpaca silk blend, And it's a beautiful, soft, fluffy fiber that's a little bit heavier than a mohair silk. And this is called Clay Dreaming. And so this is what my little vest looks like so far. I've been really enjoying working away at this. Hopefully you can see how the color in the spin cycle is shifting, which really creates the beautiful color effect, I think. You can see here how that Clay Dreaming, sorry, just here, the Clay Dreaming and the spin cycle are very, very similar color right there. So it'll be interesting to see how this looks as the spin cycle shifts, because clearly we're getting away from those peachy coral colors and into some more, I don't know, warm, yellowy, and even greens. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, which is part of the fun of knitting the spin cycle, is watching the colors shift as you knit it. I am knitting a size that is gives me 4 inches of positive ease. So I'm knitting a 44-inch finished vest for my 40-inch bust. And I think that that will give me plenty of room to wear this over top of other layers. I'm not sure how it will fit if I try to wear it without layers. I will be definitely giving it a try, and we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing how this vest progresses, and I might already be looking in my stash for another one. How many vests does a person need? I don't know, but I do have some spin cycle and some fluffy yarns that are sitting just over there that I think would make a really pretty vest in a very different sort of color palette. This one to me is quite warm with that peachy coral color. And I have some cool blues and like yellowy greens that I think would make a really nice sort of cool color palette. We'll see, who knows? I always get like this. Oh, I like this so much, I'm gonna knit 5 of them. No, I don't need 5 vests. But it was fun looking in the stash and seeing what other color options I had that might be fun to pull together. And who knows, there may be another vest in my future. But for now, I'll just enjoy knitting this one. That is all the knitting I have on my needles right now. And I'm sort of just enjoying being where I'm at with some simple sock knitting and a fun vest to watch the colors change. I'm just enjoying working on the things I'm working on right now without getting ahead of myself too much. And that's a nice place to be. Sometimes I get a lot of knitting plans. So I think, oh, I'd like to knit this and this and this month. So I have to speed through this or work on that. And that sort of robs me of the joy of whatever it is I'm working on in this moment. I get caught up in what I need to finish so that I can move on to the next thing, instead of just enjoying working on what I'm working on right now. How about you? Do you find that too? Do you get wrapped up in the excitement of new things and forget to enjoy the things that you're working on? I guess that's something that I need to work on this month. I'm really, really happy to have a couple of weeks off to sleep in a little bit, if my dog lets me. I'm also looking forward to slowing down a little bit, spending some more time with my family, getting away, and just enjoying a slower pace for a little bit while I have some time off and before school ramps up in the fall. It always seems that August gets filled with things like back to school shopping and making sure we have all of the sports equipment that we need and school supplies and plans for fall. But for now, I'm looking forward to a couple of weeks of a slower pace and maybe a little more relaxation. I hope in the next couple of weeks you find time to do that too, to relax a little bit, to find some peace, and to do the things you want to do, the things that bring me joy in this moment, instead of trying to work through them to get to the next best thing. I hope that you have a very restful and or fun or exciting or whatever it is you need in the next couple of weeks. I know I plan on knitting a lot. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.